Hey, Andrew, can I ask you a question?
Sure.
Do you want to play PEEK-A-BOOBIE?
Absolutely.
What is up, all you puss buckets out there? And welcome to the only podcast sponsored by Quaaludes. Quaaludes, yes, Quaaludes, the love drug, sleazebag cinema. I'm your host, Mike Jamison, and joining me, as always, is my co-host, Andrew Gross. Andrew, how the hell are you doing?
Oh, I am. After that one, I am recovering, is all I can say.
Well, after what one? After the movie or the introduction?
I'm going to say the movie. Oh, my lord.
You can say the introduction. Yes, speaking of the movie, oh my lord. Speaking of the movie, we are covering on this episode the 1985. You would think, you get excited, like, oh, Johnny Depp's in this movie? The 1985 Johnny Depp vehicle, Private Resort. And just to start out with, I have to say to you, or Andrew, I have to ask you, as I sat down in my basement with the lights off, popcorn in my hand, it's not really, I didn't have popcorn in my hand. As I was watching this, one word ran through my brain. Do you want to know what that was? Over and over and over. You want to know what that word was?
Sure.
Why? Why? Why is Rob Morrow the ostensible lead in this movie? Why does Rob Morrow have a stupid-ass grin on his face through half of this movie? Why are they there on vacation? It's never explained. Why is Leslie Easterbrook with Hector Elizondo? Why is Hector Elizondo's character called the Maestro? Why? There's so many whys for this movie.
Yes, there are.
There really are. Why was this movie made? Do you know this movie? This movie has 2 Academy Award winners. I'm sure multiple Emmy winners. It has a Tony winner.
Oh, I can't
in
wait.
This movie. Private Resort. It should say starring Academy Award winner Johnny Depp.
Seriously.
Written by Academy Award winner or nominee. I'm sorry. It has an Academy Award winner and an Academy Award nominee. The person who wrote it, Alan Wenkus. Yes, that's his real name. Alan Wenkus. He was nominated for the NWA movie, Straight Outta Compton. He was nominated for Best Original Screenplay. So he's an Academy Award nominee. The guy.
Wait a minute.
What's his name? Alan Wenkus. Yes.
No. I'm sorry. What's his connection? What's his connection to Straight Outta Compton?
He wrote the screenplay.
Okay.
So he was nominated for Best Original Screenplay.
This guy's been around.
Say, the gentleman who plays the hotel detective,
hold on. This guy wrote
Tony Azito. The gentleman who played the hotel detective, Tony Azito. He was a Tony-nominated actor, and you would never know it from this movie. Hector Elizondo, I'm sure, has been nominated for something. He was probably nominated for Best Supporting Actor for Pretty Woman. I don't know. So, Rob Morrow was on Northern Exposure. I'm sure he was nominated for something. There is talent on the screen as you're watching it, but God help me, you would never know it from watching this movie. Thoughts.
I'm a bit speechless, but I'm sure we'll get rolling, or you'll help me get rolling, or I'll just get rolling. But
and I'm sure there's the Tony Award winning actor Andrew Dice Clay is also in this. I'm only kidding.
Excuse me.
I'm only joking. He's never. He might have won a Grammy, maybe for Best Comedy Album. I mean, I'm not sure, but he might have.
Is Andrew Clay, not Andrew Dice Clay?
Yes, this was in the beginning of his career. Let's get this out of the way to begin with. It all comes back to MASH.
Holy shit!
Andrew Clay was in MASH. He was in Trick or Treatment, the only Halloween episode of MASH. In its last season, in season 11, he was in Trick or Treatment. He played one of the Marines. They got into a big bar fight at Rosie's, and I believe he had a concussion. He split his head open. BJ treats him.
Does he have a speaking role?
Yes, he does. He has a speaking role. He doesn't have his Dice persona as he's speaking. He doesn't do the Dice persona. He's just normal.
No. Of course.
That would be cool though to see the Dice Man in Korea.
Oh, Hawkeye. Hickory,
Oh!
Hawkeye.
Hot
Hickory,
lips.
dickory, dock.
Oh!
Oh.
Hickory
Oh.
dickory dock, Charles. Oh!
Hey, Radar. Hickory, dickory, dock. Yeah.
So yes, it all comes back. George Wendt was in that episode also. He had the 8-ball, the pool ball stuck in his mouth. But to get back to Private Resort.
Okay. Are you sitting down, Mike Jameson?
Yes, I am.
Okay. Andrew Clay, a.k.a. Andrew Dice Clay.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
Starred in Woody Allen's Blue Jasmine, a remake. It's in the 2018 remake. A Star Is Born, which was, I believe, Lady Gaga and Bradley Cooper.
Yes.
In which
Oh no.
Andrew Dice Man Clay earned a Screen Actors Guild Award nomination.
No way.
So, yeah, the talent in this is breathtaking. Now, who's okay?
This is like a Martin Scorsese movie.
Oh, seriously?
The talent. I don't know if it's breathtaking, but the talent. It is a good collection of talent. Has Leslie Easterbrook been nominated for something that we didn't know about?
We'll get to her in a second, but let's just hang on with the Dice Man. So,
Best Chest 1983 in Boobies magazine.
Here's one thing. Okay, so you and I are, of a similar age. Was it late 80s or more mid 90s he broke big as the Dice Man in his comedy career? Do you know that?
Late 80s.
So not too much long after this movie then, because this was 85?
85. Yeah, I'd say 88, 89 is when he really started making a name for himself.
Because the reason I bring that up is I'm watching. First of all, I'm watching the intros, because you got that guy going, yeah, and there's lots of pretty chicks by the pool. So of course
yes, that's how you know it's going to be a great movie. The soundtrack, the main song for the soundtrack is basically somebody going moo na 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 hey na na na. There's no lyrics. It's just somebody going na na hey na na na. God Almighty. Go ahead.
Probably because they couldn't get musical rights to something well known. But my point is, I'm watching this and I see Andrew Clay and I'm like, holy crap. Dice is in this movie.
I think you texted me. You ruined the surprise for me, pal.
And then he eventually shows up on screen, and he's like, and I'm like, this guy's supposed to be hanging with these. First of all, Johnny Depp and Rob Morrow look like they're 12.
Well, let's get Rob Morrow is. Go ahead. You're going to say about the Dice.
And Dice looks like when they meet Dice at the bar, he looks like he's 48. So I'm like, what the hell is going on here?
He always looked like he was 48 up until then he looked like he was like 72, but he did always have that I'm 48 look to him.
Well, when he foofed up his hair and cut it and did the whole Ford Fairlane thing, I thought he looked, like a late 30s, 40-year-old comedian. But in this movie, I'm like, this guy's like 50 years old. What's he doing hanging out at the bar with these kids? And then we get the gratuitous, I think we saw more of Dice's boobs than anybody else's in the show. It was very disturbing.
There was a lot of boobage, and let's go to
a lot of it was Dice.
And I'm not complaining about that, but let's go to the very beginning. You got Rob Morrow, as I noticed, gets top billing. I am not sure. I did not look into it. This couldn't be Depp's first movie because Nightmare on Elm Street came out in '84, right?
Correct. This was, according to his his IMDb. Wikipedia, it was, yes, Nightmare on Elm Street was 84, this was 85.
Okay. So he gets
And funny enough, I looked up, I think you'll find this hilarious. You have Wikipedia of IMDb, and I ended up on some other movie history website about Johnny Depp, and it didn't even list this one.
Well, there was a note while I was looking on IMDb that, much like George Lucas with the Star Wars Christmas special, Johnny Depp and Rob Morrow at one time after the movie was made and they were starting to make names for themselves, they had made a pact that they were going to find every copy of this movie and destroy it. So if you ever see Rob Morrow, Johnny Depp, and George Lucas running around late at night with hammers, they're probably looking for copies of either the Star Wars Christmas special or Private Resort. Or Johnny Depp, he might just wander around at night with a hammer anyway, because he's into some weird shit. So that just might be Johnny Depp. But yeah, you got Johnny Depp, and Johnny Depp in this one is Mr. Ultimate 80s cool guy anti-hero. He's trying to be the really good-looking Bill Murray because he's got the bowling shirt on as the movie opens, and they're walking around the pool. But you're saying there's a lot of Andrew Dice Clay boobies. I think in the first 10 minutes is almost all of the boobage that you get for this movie. Because you got the prototypical mischievous little kid who I thought was going to be in more of the movie, who disappears after the first 15 minutes. I think his name is Georgie.
Right.
At one point, he's trying to pull off a young lady's bikini top with
KB Toys robotic hand. Yep, I have that.
And how does what's the other boobage? Is it the hotel detective? Doesn't he accidentally take off one of the young ladies' bikini tops?
Yeah.
Now, I asked you,
she comes to the elevator in high heels and bikinis. I remember that being a style, but that was prevalent in this movie.
No, I don't remember that either. Only in softcore porn, I think, is that a style. And I know this is supposed to be a stupid teenage boobie movie that teenagers in the 80s would have gone to see, but why do they explain how are they college students, Rob Morrow and Johnny Depp? Are they there for the weekend? Are they related to that little kid Georgie, or was he just there and they saw him and threw him into the pool?
Yeah, you got a point because they seem to kind of know him. But
I don't know if there's a director's cut of Private Resort that we need to seek out.
We'll have to split the DVD and watch the extras to get this.
Oh God, can you imagine? For anybody, by the way, if you're listening out there, if you want to, I don't know why you would. You're going to do much better listening to this podcast. But if you want to watch this monstrosity, it's on Amazon Prime to rent or buy if you'd like to do that. But we would not recommend it.
No. But there's very little redeeming, and then maybe Well, here's a question.
You're going to say that you were going to say there's very little redeeming qualities. I will say, Hector Elizondo as the maestro. That's his character's name.
This was like
he is actually funny.
Stooges movie.
Exactly. Movie. This is not a movie. It's a series of comedic vignettes, skits.
Yeah,
slapstick. Three Stooges.
There's a lot of slapping in this movie.
There are with various boobs popping out every 15 to 20 minutes for no reason whatsoever.
There's an awful lot of falling down too, and falling over railings and falling over not balconies, but like risers and stuff. I was like, it's crazy.
Mixed in with submachine gun action because it is the 80s, so you have to have that.
Yeah.
They got in the good 80s burn when Johnny Depp calls somebody a geek, and it's not in a sarcastic way. He actually turns around to somebody and says, "Get out of here, geek." And all I could think of was, "Ooh, burn."
Yeah.
Ooh, wow. So this is the height of screenplay that we're dealing with this movie.
So just a quick segue back to Depp. So talk about bookends, Mick Jameson. So I know you're not a horror movie guy. I don't say I am, but I definitely enjoy them. I couldn't host a horror movie podcast. Yeah, I probably could actually. But the first Nightmare on Elm Street, and it's not a silent he's walking in the background type role. He's a relevant character in the movie. Dies a death that is extremely well known in horror genre.
Yeah, doesn't he get sucked into the bed or something like that?
Exactly. Which that first movie, is top shelf among the horror genre fans. That's like, I'm not saying it's the horror Gone with the Wind, but it's certainly among the classics. Yeah,
it's a classic. The first one is it's before it fell into self-parody.
I mean, we could, but like,
or before Freddy became like more of an anti-hero. By the late '80s, they were selling Freddy dolls.
I'm with you, but what I'm trying to say is like, for Nightmare on Elm Street, there are horror movies that were good enough to cross into the mainstream, and Saw being one. This first Nightmare on Elm Street, Freddy and Jason and stuff. But my point is, so Johnny Depp was in Nightmare on Elm Street, which is again, the first one is very revered. Does this one, and the next one he does in '86 is Platoon, which is an Academy Award winning movie. So
that's kind of what you call a glow up.
That's what I call bookends, my friend.
I will say, watching it, and you're watching it now, and you know who Johnny Depp is, but you can see that he has talent, and you can see he has charisma, and you can understand why he became a movie star. He's not terrible, especially compared to a lot of the actors in this movie who are terrible and who were obviously cast because of what they looked like. So,
yeah, for sure. You got to look good in a bikini to be in this movie. But
speaking of that, Leslie Easterbrook, Vavoom.
Correct me if I'm wrong. Is she
Sergeant
not
Callahan?
That's what I say. She goes in Police Academy, the lunatic drill instructor that grabs the fake Spanish guy, and then he's and rips open her chest or her chest. Yes, she exposes
it's
her.
It's not aliens.
Her ample bosomness to him.
Yes, she does. She does offer her ample bosoms to.
Only in bra form. Don't get excited, kids. But. And Hector Alonso has a very healthy career.
Oh, Hector Elizondo is great. Yeah, I mean, I know him, or I think most people would know him from Pretty Woman. And didn't he play the same kind of role? Was he in Princess Diaries? I can't remember. I've never seen Princess Diaries, but Hector Elizondo is probably that guy. He's especially in the '90s, but always steady, always brings it whenever he's in a role.
I think he's a little more than.
He's a little bit more than that. Yeah, you're right. He's a little bit more than that guy. I'm sure this is probably one of his first roles, and as I mentioned, he plays the maestro. He is a jewel thief. That's the main
what he was
plot.
Trying to do? I couldn't.
Sure, he was trying to steal the necklace from the old lady who was from Greece. She was the assistant to the principal in Greece.
So talking about Hector here a little bit. So on Primetime Emmy Awards, been awarded for Obie, I don't know what that is, or ALMA Award, I don't know what that is. Golden Globe nomination, Screen Actors Guild nomination, and if you need to transfer your car title, is a notary public.
Thank goodness. I'll have to get in touch with him later.
Public. Living next door, Mike.
It's always good to have something to fall back on, just in case.
So that's why I'm gonna. Not that I'm a huge fan. Not that I dislike him. I just want to say I think he's a little more than a. You're right. He was in Princess Diaries 1 and 2.
I pulled that one out of my ass.
And as much as we venture into MASH, we venture into Batman. He voiced Bane in an animated Mystery of the Batwoman movie.
Oh, I remember that movie. I didn't know that was him. Oh, I'm gonna have to check that out again now, knowing that's him.
I know we're focused on this, but I just want to point out real quick. We always seem to end up talking about Batman animated stuff. If you ever spend time going and looking at all the people who did voice work on those shows, it's a who's who, not of just voice actors, but of known talent.
Everybody knows that Mark Hamill obviously did the Joker, but they were able to wrangle in a lot of big names.
Yeah,
who did really good work. That it just adds to the prestige of that show with the kind of voice talent they could get to.
Yeah, I mean, just playing random characters, or and a character that shows up 4 or 5 times throughout the run of the show. I mean, it seems like they had half of the Star Trek cast show up. Jonas Frakes, et cetera, et cetera. Anyway, back to.
You can always tell that the movie that we watched was shit whenever we are off on a tangent talking about Batman the Animated Series or actors who have guest starred on MASH.
Yeah, unfortunately, I can't connect Hector Alonso to MASH.
I'm surprised he wasn't in it. But what we were talking about before we got off on the tangent was Leslie Easterbrook and her amazing 1980s body, which is in full display in this movie.
I'm kind of. So when was Police Academy?
When Police Academy was 83. 83. They made them back to back to back to back.
Okay.
The first one was 83. Second one was 84. I don't know if she was in all of them, but I think she was in at least the first 5 or 6 when it was a lot of the same cast was coming back for each one. So she was probably between Police Academy 2 or 3 with this movie.
Okay.
So I'm sure she was known at the time. She's not bad in it. She gets to do a little bit
No,
more than
she's
she
wonderful.
usually does. She's actually funny. She's pretty funny. She gets to show a little bit of personality.
It's kind of the reason because I'm always with the age thing here. Because in this movie, she seems like she's playing a 50-year-old woman, whereas in Police Academy, she seemed like she was 25.
I had the same thought. She looked a little bit older in this movie. I don't know if it's just the way she's made up or.
Yeah, well, I think that and the way she was playing the character, she seemed like an old woman at a resort with her beau. So
she's the girlfriend of the maestro, who is played by Hector Elizondo, and as I said, he is there at the private resort to steal a diamond necklace. But first, he has to get his hair cut because his hair is very important to him, and this is what goes to drive the plot because Leslie Easterbrook drops her room key after Johnny Depp and Rob Morrow have been flirting with her. She accidentally drops her room key, and they think that she's dropped it for them to come and meet her at her room. So they follow her back to her room. They go into the room. She's getting changed. She's gonna wait in bed for Hector Elizondo. Johnny Depp automatically takes off all his clothes. You get to see Johnny Depp ass. So there's a plus for you. Johnny Depp's naked. Rob Morrow has a shit-eating grin on his face because that's all he does in this movie is chuckle and smile with a big doofy shit-eating grin. Rob Morrow, I'm sorry, is the biggest milquetoast blank slate in Hollywood. He always plays the same bland character. He's always playing bland Rob Morrow, whether it be this movie or Northern Exposure, and that's about all I can name because I really don't know anything else he's been in. He is nothing in this movie. He is not funny. He doesn't have a great personality. At least Johnny Depp, you can see the charisma that's on screen.
Right.
So you can enjoy watching him. Through a series of, it's almost like a Three's Company episode. Through a series of misunderstandings, Hector Elizondo comes back to the hotel room. He thinks that they hide Johnny Depp. Johnny Depp goes and hides in the closet of the bedroom, not knowing Leslie Easterbrook is in there, so he's hiding in there. Rob Morrow says he's the barber. He starts to cut Hector Elizondo's hair. Meanwhile, Johnny Depp sees Leslie Easterbrook goes into the closet. She's wearing a see-through nightie, sees Johnny Depp. She realizes
has a very tame reaction. She doesn't
I'm sure she,
the
way she looks, I'm sure she's used to men popping out of her closet unannounced.
Okay.
Yeah, sure. I'm sure it happens to her every other day. And, oh no, I'm sure nobody would be able to expect it, but Rob Morrow totally screws up Hector Elizondo's hair.
Yeah.
He tries to sneak out with Johnny Depp. Unfortunately, the real barber shows up, and this guy, what was this guy's deal? What was the barber's deal? Was he secretly a German S&M guy? Because there's that scene later in the movie where he's dressed up in almost green fatigues, and he has the riding crop that the quaaluded up grandmother starts smacking him with and chasing after him. I don't know what his deal was. So, of course, Hector Elizondo sees that his hair is destroyed. He vows to kill Rob Morrow and Johnny Depp and goes chasing them out of the room, which brings them to the attention of the hotel security guard, who is basically he's like the Inspector Clouseau of this movie because he's just in this movie to fall down, have his balls knocked into, trip, be abused, be punched.
Get smacked in the face by a number of people.
Exactly. And that's basically the plot.
It's just shenanigans.
I wanted to say that if this was you with a friend, wouldn't you just leave? If you know that there is a hitman, because Hector Elizondo and Leslie Easterbrook, their characters don't try to hide that they're gonna rob this diamond. They're talking to he's talking about it while his barber his supposed barber is giving him a haircut. he's talking on the phone to whoever it is who hired him to do this. So he's vowing to kill them. Wouldn't you, if this was you and it wasn't a contrived movie, wouldn't you say, okay, I think I'll leave now so I don't have somebody kill me? You see them, it's supposed to be the next day, and they're just wandering around the resort in sunglasses because that's going to help them not be caught.
You're right. It's just a series of, like, I'm seeing Meatballs. It's just shenanigans. I see Meatballs. I see Three's Company. I see Bachelor Party. Like, I don't know if they copied from this or that they just threw everything in the blender for this movie from everything else they saw. But let me jump to a question, though, that I had written down for you, Mike. So okay. As much as we're, like, watching this and just, like, it's not even so bad it's good, it's just bad. Like, do you think if you and I were in the theater at 13, 14, we'd be like, hee, this is great? I wonder if we're just old man lens here.
I don't think I obviously wouldn't have seen it in the theater at 12 or 13. It would have been sitting in front of the TV watching it on Prism, which was our local.
All right.
It was our local cable channel was Prism.
Yep.
And that's where
we can watch dirty movies like this.
Exactly, where I consumed most of the movies I shouldn't have been watching. Would I have sat there? I probably would have thought it was amusing. And I would have been sitting there knowing that I'd get to see boobies. So I would sit through it. But I understand what you're saying. I say that now. I like to think that, oh no, by 13 or 14, I had such a sophisticated palette for my movie choices. I don't know if I really did. I would probably be chuckling and saying, this is funny. And maybe by 15 or 16, I would just see it and turn the channel because I would have no time for it. It's like you rattle off a bunch of those early 80s movies that, like Bachelor Party. I don't even know some of the other ones you said, and it's probably some of the other ones we've covered. At least those, you could tell some of those were competently made. This is just after the whole bit that I just talked about. The rest of the movie is basically 5 or 10 minute little comic skits tangentially connected to the rest of the movie just to get it. The movie's only 82 minutes. So they're just
it's funny you brought that up because I noticed that I was going to mention that too. I had it in my notes. It was really short.
Yeah, they're just trying to get it to 82 minutes. There's not really any connecting through line. It's just the misadventures of Johnny Depp and Rob Morrow as they try to get laid and try to avoid getting killed by a hitman, while said hitman is trying to steal a diamond. And of course, Johnny Depp, as he's trying to get laid, he sees a young girl in the pool who he decides he's fallen in love with.
Right.
Wants to meet her. He bribes one of the hotel staff to find out about her, and it turns out that her grandmother is the grandmother who has the diamond necklace that the maestro is going to steal. So he fakes being a doctor,
right, to get in the girl's
to get the grandmother to agree to let him date her granddaughter. The granddaughter, to her credit, at least sees that he's a bullshit artist, but he's Johnny Depp, so she still goes out with him anyway. But that does bring me to one scene that I did think was kind of amusing. So she says, "You can go out with me, but you have to find somebody to go out with." I think it was her cousin. Was it her cousin?
Yeah.
So of course Johnny Depp gets Rob Morrow, and while this is going on, as always, like with Caddyshack and all these other movies, Rob Morrow has fallen head over heels for a waitress who works at the private resort, but she's not allowed to date any of the guests, and she has the kind of preppy. He looked like one of the Von Erichs, the guy who works at the resort, who was her boss or who liked her, and he's the snobby tough guy. He's going to be Rob Morrow's challenger for her affections.
Well, he was the Ted McGinley role.
Exactly. He was the low-rent Ted McGinley. So Rob Morrow...
Discount Ted McGinley, right.
Discount Ted McGinley. Copyright 2025, Sleazebag Cinema. So Rob Morrow has a date with the waitress. You could tell that I was really invested in this movie because I don't remember any of the characters' names. Rob Morrow has a date with the waitress, but he's got to go with Johnny Depp and double date with him so Johnny Depp can get into the pants of the girl that he wants. And they go to the room. and they're waiting for the cousin to come out. And she literally comes gliding across the screen. I'm sure they had something set up before. She comes
like
gliding across the screen.
Or something.
She's supposed to be a cult member. Not a cult. It's almost like like Hare Krishna almost.
Yeah.
Would you say?
Yeah, she's just very mystic.
They called her by her name, but I think she said, "Call me Hali Zumba" or something like that.
Yeah.
I can't even remember. But she was kind of funny, where they told Rob Morrow, "Okay, you stay here with her. We're gonna go out," and she's trying to explain or get him into not meditation, but they're supposed to be praying to
some guy with a beard
who looks like the Maharishi. He's got like a towel wrapped around his head, so he kind of almost looks like a Swami. And she was funny.
Yeah.
I don't know. I looked her up. A bunch of these people were guest stars in TV shows. She was in a band that I'd never heard of, an all-girl group in the late 80s that made one album, but it didn't go anywhere. But the actress who plays her, she was actually very funny. Of course, it's this type of movie, so they're supposed to be cleansing themselves. They were cleansing themselves of all things.
Right.
So she gets up and takes off the bathrobe that she's wearing, and you get to see her boobies, of course. Rob Morrow gets up and supposedly gets naked because it's the 80s, so you're only going to see the women naked and not the men.
Right.
But
a lot of tushy, a lot of female tushies in this movie too.
Yeah, there's male tushy too. Like I said, you get to see see Johnny Depp and Rob Morrow tushy, so at least they show tushy.
Everybody, something for everybody in this movie.
And I don't remember how is it that she gets offended that he's taking his clothes off, and he thinks that she's coming on to him, so he tries to kiss her. She has to go out and cleanse herself. He ends up outside in the hallway with only a towel covering his private parts. Our hapless hotel detective sees him and
gets run over.
It starts to chase him. Rob Morrow's hiding under a cart. He, of course, gets pushed into the room where the maestro and Leslie Easterbrook are staying. Then is getting chased by the maestro and the hotel.
Has a submachine gun, and he's blasting away in the crowd.
I think that's the end. They haven't even met Andrew Dice Clay yet.
Oh, okay. Well, no, they met him early because they were drinking beer.
No, they didn't meet him early. I think you watched a different cut than I did.
No. They go to a bar and they're
you know what it is?
Drinking beers and there's Dice making out.
You know what it is? You are right, and that's because it's a continuity error. What I read was when they meet Dice in the movie, I'm sorry, Andrew Clay, this is when he was still in his serious actor phase, so he was only Andrew Clay. When they actually do meet him in the movie, they're at the bar drinking, and he's hitting on a girl who's not his girlfriend, and his girlfriend says, we're only here one night, and you're already hitting on girls. How do you like it if the first person I meet, I'll sleep with? And Johnny Depp says stay here. I'm going to be the first person she meets. When you look it up on IMDb, it is a continuity error that when they meet him and they say it's the first night they're there, earlier in the movie when you see them at the bar drinking, he is visible at the bar. So it's a total continuity error that he was there. So that gets into the next comic misadventure where Johnny Depp goes to take... Oh, we didn't even say that with the whole Holly Baba or whatever the name of the Maharishi sect was. That's when Rob Morrow brings out his aspirins, and when I say aspirins, of course it's the early '80s and it's a boobie movie, so he's got Quaaludes.
Oh, that's right.
It's the love drug. So he was gonna give the cousin Quaaludes. He does not, but he leaves them on the table, and the grandmother comes back. And I think that's how he has to run out. The grandmother comes back. She's got a headache. She accidentally takes the Quaaludes. She's wandering around the private resort high on Quaaludes.
Yep.
And Johnny Depp does meet up with Dice's girl and does he get her drunk? He wants Rob Morrow to keep Dice occupied so he can take her back to Dice's room because Dice won't be there because he's going to supposedly hook up with somebody else. But through a series of misadventures, Rob Morrow and Johnny Depp end up in the same room, and they're trying to hide Dice's drunk girlfriend from Dice as Dice is trying to sleep with another woman. and it just gets, and that's when my head almost exploded. This movie's killing me.
I don't have anything to add. You recapped it well.
You had a look of pure either disgust or exasperation on your face.
Well, it's, and then we get that whole scene goes on for a long time with Dice trying to get with the girl. They're trying to get with the girl. Dice without his shirt on, and he's like a very hairy man. Like, they should have shaved him for this role.
He is quite hairy. Yes, he is.
Yeah, he's a Yeti, basically. So,
and very much, again, keeping with the early 80s, Johnny Depp has to bust out the 30-pack of condoms. Because
of course. Is this enough?
If you're a fifth grader, the sight of condoms always made you laugh. They have his girlfriend. They're carrying her out of the hotel room, and when he comes in, they drop her behind the couch, which is funny the first time, but by the fifth time that they've dropped her onto the floor, it's like, okay, the poor girl probably has a concussion by now. Enough already. So her brain has been jostled just a bit too much.
Oh, okay. Sorry, I just stumbled across something.
I have nothing more to add to the scene. What did you stumble across?
Okay, so a couple things. I know we're a little bit all over the place, but we're no more all over the place than this movie.
Yeah, exactly.
So Depp and Murrow. So Depp's second movie, Murrow's first movie, Dice. He done a lot of television work, but this is among his first movie. First or second movie for Leslie Easterbrook. Okay, we forgot to mention that they took another trope from Bachelor Party because they have Rick the Dick in this one instead of Nick.
I was going to ask you, is that Rick the Dick the same Rick the Dick?
Not the same actor. No.
Okay, I didn't know if it was the same actor. They stole the concept.
Nick the Dick name. So
okay, they stole the concept of the guy with the unbelievably huge dick. That
the Kama Sutra chick meets. But where I'm going is, so a lot of people in this movie, first, second, or third movie, very strangely, what I can't understand is how they must have backed up a money truck or something, because in Hector Alonso's Wikipedia, he had steady work in the 70s in a lot of films, some of which were pretty. He wasn't in garbage. Flamingo Kid was a pretty big hit. He was in American Gigolo. That was a big hit. He was in The Taking of Phelan. That was a pretty big movie in the 70s. In fact, he was doing work in the 60s. So, Thieves, that was a pretty well-known movie. So this is interesting to me that he ended up in this bucket of shit, and doing such a very ridiculous, you and I could have played that role. It was so bad, and we're not even acting.
Terrible though. He was funny for what he was doing. I'm not saying he was great, but the same thing I said with Johnny Depp. You could tell that he is at least a competent actor.
Yeah,
but I'm surprised too that this isn't one of his first movies. He had
about 18 movies in his bank. And like I said, they weren't, not that there was straight to DVD in the 70s, but these were, I am a little bit of a movie buff, and I know some others think that the 70s was the greatest decade of movies, and I subscribe to that. And these movies are often that I'm seeing here are often in some douchebag. I'm not one of those douchebags. Some douchebag or some website, best 100 movies of the 70s. And a lot of these are on the list. I mean, things like Jaws, Star Wars, Close Encounters. Godfather, those things end up there, but these movies are down the list, but on the list. So it's interesting that he seemed to have a steady career in, I would call top quality cinema, and then ends up in this dog shit. That's just crazy.
However, I will say this. Have you seen Jaws: The Revenge?
I probably did.
Jaws. Now, Michael Caine is in that movie. Sir Michael Caine.
Yes.
Long, respected,
well, they backed up the money truck.
Legendary movie career.
No. They backed up the money truck. He doesn't.
But do you know the famous quote about Jaws: The Revenge? I asked you if you had seen it. After it came out, I think he was on a talk show, and somebody said to him, You were in Jaws the Revenge. Have you seen it? And he said, I have not, but I've seen the house that it built me. And it's marvelous. So who knows? Hector Elizondo might have just thought, hey, you know what? I'd love to have a condo down in Miami. So private resort, sure. Why the hell not?
Yeah. So it's his jaws of revenge. So anyway, so you're sitting down.
I'm sitting down. I'm always sitting down when I do these podcasts.
Okay, I had to check. This is part of a trilogy.
Mm-hmm. I did see that. I don't think they're interconnected, but go ahead, explain to our audience if they haven't already left us because this movie is so bad. Yeah,
well, because see, the thing is I know the other two. So this is the third of a trilogy. Well, third of a series of comedy teen sex romps from producer R. Ben Ephraim. Private Lessons. And this is the third. This is the last of them. Private Lessons. In 1981. Ed Begley Jr. hooks up with an older woman. And your favorite, and one of my favorites, Howard Hessman is in this one. And I think we have to do the next one, which was called Private School.
Nope.
Because Matthew Modine, Ray Walston, who we know was my favorite Martian, also the school teacher in Fast Times. Mm-hmm. But also, get ready.
I'm ready.
A Hall of Fame, absolute Hall of Fame crush to people like you and I, people of our ilk, Phoebe Cates.
Ooh, I'm a big Phoebe Cates fan.
We don't mess up the podcast, but I think I might have to check this one out because I'd like to see her in something besides Gremlins and Fast Times. I just want to see it. Just want to see it.
I'm writing it down right now and adding it to the list that we can never find of movies that we need to do.
So Depp and Rob Morrow aren't the only ones who started their career in teen sex comedy films of the 80s.
Yeah, so this trilogy was like a leap pad for all of these young actors. All of them are walking around with sledgehammers at night, going into imaginary video stores and destroying imaginary copies of these movies.
So they must have signed up Phoebe Cates right away because she had her for that one, because that was 83 and Fast Times was 82, and that obviously was a breakout role in so many ways for her.
Am I remembering correctly that there was a scene in this movie where they put a used condom on the finger of the security guard?
I might have been drinking heavily at that point, but
I really think there was. I think there really was a scene where they put a used condom on his finger. Can we just skip to the end? There was the saddest falling in love montage between Rob Morrow.
Oh, right. I forgot to. Good
what
thing you brought that
a
up. Yes.
Sad
the love montage.
Weren't they only supposed to be there a weekend? This was almost Naked Gun levels, where they did about 27 things, and it must have been in only about 5 hours because they were only supposed to be there for a weekend. So the Naked Gun, if they didn't see this movie and take it from there, then good on them, because this was Naked Gun levels of hilarity. But the Naked Gun was supposed to be hilarious. This was actually supposed to be sincere, and it didn't work at all. With the saddest music and no chemistry, you would never know it from this podcast. I have nothing against Rob Morrow. I'm sure he's a nice guy. But Rob Morrow, one of the blandest human beings ever, and his love interest, who, cute girl.
Very cute.
No personality whatsoever.
Did you find it a little strange? Sorry, I just want to. I had this in my notes too. Like every time he tried to, make time for this chick, discount Ted McGinley popped out of the bushes.
Well, because he had to, because it's an early '80s movie like this, so he had to. He has to have the snobby guy to overcome to win the girl's heart.
Right.
But as soon as they start going out, she knocks on the door to bring him breakfast, and Johnny Depp's girlfriend is in the room. She wouldn't know that that's who his friend is going out with. She gets mad and storms off, and he chases after her, and then this leads to the big chase scene at the end.
Well, Johnny Depp's in the room. He could be like, "Oh yeah, she's here."
Exactly.
He's like, "No, wait, let me explain. Like, just jump to it. What are you waiting for?"
Exactly. I need to know. I need to dig deeper into this and see if these screenwriters wrote for Three's Company before they wrote this movie, because it's basically 4 or 5 Three's Company scenarios, and that's how they made the movie. Like you just said, just explain to her. No, this is Johnny Depp's girlfriend. He is in the other room. Look, I will show you. I'm skipping over the cross-dressing that has to happen in these movies also. This is bizarre. This is just bizarre. So, first of all, it's bizarre because if you're Hector Elizondo, listen, great actor, respected actor, not the greatest looking human being in the world. If you're dating Leslie Easterbrook, why are you trying to make time with a woman who has hair on her chest? So Rob Morrow, he's being chased by the maestro. He's being chased by Hector Elizondo. He's got to hide, jumps into a side room. These women are getting ready, I guess, for a show or something. So it's a woman's dressing room.
Mike, didn't you know this is the prequel to Showgirls?
Exactly. It did have kind of a Showgirls vibe. There was less cocaine and midgets involved, but
just more Quaaludes.
Exactly. There wasn't a lot of cocaine, but there were Quaaludes. So Rob Morrow, of course, he gets dressed in he
covers his face
with a veil. They're very frumpy type of clothes, but the maestro all of a sudden takes a liking. I thought he knew that it was Rob Morrow and he was just taking him out to kill him, but no, he's trying to make time with Rob Morrow, who he thinks is a woman. So he pushes her into an elevator. The Dice Man is in the elevator. He wants female Rob Morrow also.
They start feeling him up. I'm like,
what? They start feeling him up. They accidentally feel each other's hands. They start to beat each other up. It's another scene where people are getting beat up. Rob Morrow escapes. They run into...
Alonzo runs over the security guy again.
Yes, and the security guy has joined the chase, and I think it ends up in... Do
you remember what he says?
No. Oh, is this the... It probably has a word, I think. I do know. It has a word that we should not say, but I did have it marked down.
Well, we got it. Well, maybe we'll save that for the Zmed-O-Meter.
Okay. Yes, we'll save that, and we'll say now. I mean, should I say the word? I mean, I hate, like, I'm giving warning.
Well, we're giving context.
I'm giving context to it. We'll talk about it with the Zmed-O-Meter. It's a word that
the 80s.
It's the 80s. It's a word that would not be used now, should not be used now, obviously. But I'll give context and we'll get to it at the end with the Zmed-O-Meter. But it all culminates in, we're talking about this almost has a Three Stooges vibe. The security guard gets a pie in the face, for God's sakes.
Yep.
Hector Elizondo is shooting at Johnny Depp and
he somehow finds a submachine gun, which I thought was...
he does. He's like the Joker. He pulls it out of his back pocket, and it's almost like that one that the Joker has at the end that he shoots down the Batwing with.
Yep.
He gets knocked off and onto a table with food in it. So I mean, it basically devolves into a Three Stooges ending.
It ends up becoming like food fight in Animal House. Basically.
It's a Three Stooges movie with a little light S&M and boobies, basically.
A little light S&M.
If that's what you're looking for and that's what you're into, and God bless you, I will not judge. Look for Private Resort, because that's what you're going to get.
You really shouldn't, but yeah.
No. Disclaimer, don't. Please don't.
Yeah.
It's always hard to do these episodes, because I love talking it through with you, but the movie is so hard. I don't know if I said it on here or when we were talking beforehand. Halfway through, there's no need to take notes, because this is not a type of movie that you're going to go deep on. I think I really did just basically give the description. It's a Three Stooges movie with nudity, and that's fine. It's hard. This is the first time I ever watched it, so it's hard to do a podcast about it when you've never seen it before and you're trying to craft an episode and you just want to complain about it. I know you texted me as you were watching it, and did you say it was worse than Zapped?
I said it made Zapped look like Gone with the Wind.
I don't know. I still think Zapped was worse. I don't know, man. I think Zapped was worst. This had a couple parts. As I said, the Ramadama, whatever her name is, cousin, I found kind of amusing. Hector Elizondo, a couple parts I found amusing. But Zapped to me had no redeeming qualities whatsoever.
All right, maybe I'm got rose-colored glasses for Zapped because Heather Thomas was in it, and She's Hall of Fame for me.
We broke our pact because we brought up Zapped again on
Damn
this podcast. You have to be spanked now. I'll be over in 5 minutes.
Bring that outfit that the barber
the barber was wearing. And his riding crop.
Yeah.
So anyway, the Zmed-O-Meter. So where do you have this on the Zmed-O-Meter?
Well, okay. Well, see, what's interesting, looking at this being as old as we are, like, because I think, well, I don't think, like, you look at this and it's there's boobs and we forgot to talk about the aerobics class where everybody's in the leg warmers and we got to see a lot of
that's how Johnny Depp
spandex and butts, girls bending over and this and that.
You're right. We did forget to bring. How could we forget that?
Yeah. But it's so funny. You're watching this and they keep, there's the occasional boob shot and you're like, where's the boobs? Because we're so used to the enhanced women of the last 20 years that we see. So I don't know if it can get any. I don't even register on this Zmed-O-Meter now because of that. But
you're gonna make me read the. You're gonna make me read the line, aren't you?
Well, wait. I get that. I'm just going through my list of Zmed-O-Meter. They didn't. So everybody escaped in this sense. They didn't. Well, first of all, did you notice there wasn't a single black person in the movie?
Yes, there was one. There was the bartender. The bartender.
Oh, okay, fair enough.
But you're right. There's no main characters.
You always expect. Well, in the '80s, there's always the goofy black character in the movie. Like who?
Revenge
what was
of the Nerds?
Caddyshack? I forget.
Oh, the guy who's shining the who's, and I don't mean to laugh. Who's shining the shoes, basically.
Yeah, there's usually some black character in some derogatory role. You expected like to be a janitor and he'd get knocked over and his bucket of broom soup would get spilled. Blah blah. So there was no.
Oh God, we forgot about that. A bucket of paint falls on Hector Elizondo's head.
That's right.
So
was it paint or spackle? I forget. But...
I can't remember.
So there wasn't.
There might not have been any black people. There were the stereotypical Asian people because when that happens, they have the Asian tourists. Yes.
There wasn't any, making fun of a black character or a Hispanic character or a Middle East character. Although Middle East didn't really get abuse in the '80s until, well, I guess a little bit they did. Stereotype. None of that. You're right. They did totally steal the Wang character from in volume because they're all like thick glasses taking pictures. So okay, this Zmed-O-Meter's starting to spool up here.
The Zmed-O-Meter's starting to twitch.
Yeah. And then I'll take the reins here. The one scene when they're chasing Rob Moreau, who's in drag, he and Dice. And he runs over the security guard and is like, we got to get that fag or something like that.
No, the exact line, because it stood out to me and I wrote it down. And I will say, so whoever this is not meant, we obviously know this is terrible. We're just, this is for context. And
this is for Zmed-O-Meter.
For the Zmed-O-Meter. He says to him, hold on, I have it written down.
I thought that's what he said.
No, he says, that faggot barber
has got
my diamond in his tits.
Got it. Okay, so...
It's delivered a lot better by Hector Elizondo.
Well, he's an actor. I'm not.
No, I'm talking about me. My delivery was
terrible.
Okay.
So, but that's so there. Going to that. So there is that line. There isn't any like we've seen in so many '80s movies. The gay character who's so flamboyantly gay, it's comedic. Mm-hmm. It's done for comedic purposes. There wasn't anything like that. We did have. While there's some machine gun fire going on, an obese person who won't stop eating.
I had that in my notes also.
So
and she was in the movie earlier when they were trying to pull her out of the pool.
Right.
And it took Johnny Depp was trying to help her out. The security guard comes to help. Johnny Depp lets her go. The security guard goes flying into the pool. Yes.
There's an Olympic flip into the pool.
She's so fat he fell into the pool. Yeah.
Right. So, it's so. As far as Twitch and the Zmed-O-Meter, those are what I had. I don't think the nudity registers, but and granted, the line that we mentioned, and the overweight girl, and those were all kind of like little blips. It wasn't like a reoccurring theme in the movie. The Asian characters, stereotypical Asian characters with taking pictures. So, maybe a 3.5, 4 on the Zmed-O-Meter. It's not pegging it. I don't think. I think there is, as we always talk about, a version of this you could take out the portions.
You could definitely show this. They could have showed this on TV if you just.
Well, my point is, you could take out the rightfully so, the items that register this Zmed-O-Meter, but they're so brief. If you cut them out, you still have plenty of a movie left.
Yeah, I would say for me, that's you dug deeper than I did with taking notes. I would say we used to do For Then and For Now, because I was thinking in that way. For then, most of that stuff.
I'm sorry, you're right.
No,
I'm thinking.
Okay.
I'm thinking right. For the now. I'm thinking For the Now. Yeah.
Because
back then, no, it doesn't pay anything. Those were all tropes back then. Like,
it's a 1, if that, for then.
Gay slurs were nothing to blink an eye.
Yes.
A fat character being made fun of is nothing to blink at. I don't even think it. I think it's a 0 in this Zmed-O-Meter.
And to your point, they're really quick. They don't linger on making fun of the fat character. No. The gay slur that they use, that's really the only one. So for then, I'd say at most a 1, and maybe not even, because everything that you listed out was not anything that people really took offense to.
So why do you think? Why do you say it's even making a blip?
I don't know. You're probably right. You're probably right. No, honestly, it's probably a 0 on the Zmed-O-Meter. Now,
because there was nothing to blink at, and it was so brief. This for being a booby movie, there really wasn't any. There wasn't any like showing anybody getting laid. There was.
And there's exposed breast, but they're quick hits, kind of. It's not any kind of extended scenes of them. It's like they said, well, we have to put this in here, so let's do it and get it over with quick, and then we have that in there, and that's going to sell it to the horny teenagers that we want to come and see the movie.
Oh, and I forgot to mention Georgie. I mean, the creepy little kid trying to take off a woman's bra who
disappeared halfway through.
Yeah, George Levine was the actor's name. He didn't appear to do much else.
Georgie.
That would tick on the register today. I don't know. I don't remember that being a common 80s sex trope.
They had the mischievous kid in the movies back then.
Sorry?
They had the mischievous kid back then who.
Well, but trying to grope an older lady, I mean, that's
sometimes. I can't think of the movies, but not all the time. But
all right, so
wait, what did you say for now? What
for now, I think it's like at least it's a 4.
Yeah, maybe. I'd give it a 4.5.
But like I don't peg it because, like I said, I think you could edit out the scenes as brief as they are.
I agree.
Have plenty of movie left over.
You've convinced me. I'd give it a 4 for now because that's true.
Hey.
You can edit it down and you'd be able to show it. It'd be great because it would only be like 75 minutes. It would almost be as long as we've been doing this podcast right now. Hopefully this podcast is more entertaining than Private Resort was.
Yeah.
So I think Zapped and Private Resort have now joined the short and hopefully not ever growing list of sleazebag cinema movies that we shall never speak of again. Do you agree?
I want to just like get that pen from Men in Black and have you hold it up to my eyeballs so I can erase this. That I have actually, like, so far. I mean, granted, our history is short, but like I really regret putting time into this one. It was just,
I do too. Yeah.
Other than seeing, a 12-year-old Depp, which I was interested to see. Seeing I was an unexpected surprise to see Dice. Because I, just kind of know him from Ford Fairlane as his stand-up, and then he did the movie recently about Tommy Lee and Pam Anderson. He was a sleazeball in that. He was actually really good. So seeing him, and I remember him. There was a mobster show, I think in the '90s, that he had a semi-reoccurring character on because he was red hot back then.
Okay,
I forget. But, yeah, it was a TV show.
I think I think eventually on this show we'll cover Ford Fairlane. Hopefully.
I'm down for that. I remember that being a very enjoyable movie. Well, I don't have any recollection. I'm not saying it doesn't. I don't recall that it's going to what its Zmed-O-Meter will measure, but that's why we're going to go back to it. So
it'll be in for a surprise.
Yeah.
But for the next episode,
oh yeah,
if you thought saying that F word and not the F word you think, but the F word we just said in this episode was shocking and a little uncomfortable, get ready to be really uncomfortable, because for our next episode we will be discussing C. Thomas Howell in Soul Man.
I can't wait.
Just dead silence after. What's a little blackface between friends, you know?
I think I saw this, well, just briefly, I think I saw it in the theaters with my friends.
Try to remember the story or get in touch with them and ask them for stories so you can tell it on the episode.
These aren't people I'm still in touch with.
Okay.
And I think we went to see it because, we knew who he was. Mm-hmm. And I don't remember the actress, but I think I forget the actress's name that plays his girlfriend, who we all had a crush on. She was crush worthy in the day.
I don't know. We're gonna have to see when we do the movie for the next episode. And by the way, I just need to mention before, because we're wrapping up here, 3 podcasts in 1 week. We did not get the podcast for 5 months.
Right.
We just banged out 3 podcasts in 1 week. I gotta hold on. Just round of applause. Round of applause for us. Round of applause for us, buddy. We are just knocking it out of the park. But I had a fun time. The movie was terrible, but it's always fun talking to you about movies if they're terrible or if they're not.
Definitely had material for us to cover, but yeah.
Yeah, this was a tough one, especially coming off Showgirls, our last episode, where you had a lot to talk about.
That one was sit throughable. This one was god awful.
It was god awful. I should have taken your advice when you texted me last night while you were watching it. I should have just ad-libbed my way through this and not watched it.
Yeah, I'm wondering, is he just, I was wondering if you're just going to wing it through the episode by having...
I'm dedicated to our listeners. I would never do that.
I was texting for the kids in the audience. I was texting Mike, like, I don't even know if this is worthy of a podcast. It was because I was about 35 minutes into it. I thought you were
cutting the cord.
So but when I saw Dice, I'm like, all right, maybe this will go some. It didn't, but I thought maybe it might, have some redemption. But
wow, I will say, for any of you out there listening, if we have inspired you, and hopefully we haven't, because you should not watch this movie. But if you've seen this movie and you have any thoughts on it, get in touch with us. Let us know what you think. Let us know where you think it falls on the Zmed-O-Meter. As always, you can look for us on Twitter. I'm not calling it X. It's Twitter. At Sleazebag Cinema. You can look for me on Twitter and on Bluesky at Mick Jamison or This Lightsaber Kills Fascists. And Andrew, like I always say, you are not on Twitter. And you're going to live a much longer life than I am, because you don't want to be involved in any of that discourse and just bullshit.
Yeah.
Look for us on Apple and Spotify. Share the show to your friends. Tell your friends how hilarious we are on the show and tell them to listen. Give us a 5-star rating. That really helps to get the podcast out there. So if you could spend 2 seconds giving us a 5-star rating, and even just writing a review, you can just write, really, really good show. You can write, this show stinks, and still give us a 5-star review, and I would be happy with that. Just rate, review the show. Listen to us on Apple and Spotify. Like I said, we will be back in a few weeks. Doing Soul Man. It's going to be interesting in a lot of ways, because I haven't seen it in a long time, and the conversation could get uncomfortable. I guess we'll see, right?
Yes, true.
But until then, Andrew and I have podcasted 3 times this week. I don't want to see him for another 2 months. All right, maybe not
that way.
Maybe not that long. Maybe only like a week or so. How about that?
That works.
But until then, Andrew, I had fun. Everybody out there, thanks for listening, and we will see you soon.
Bye, kids.
Bye.